Hello, Mrs. Findlay here. So welcome to our last lesson of this week. What we're going to do today is recap everything that we've been doing during the week, and if you are struggling with the assignment that I set you, then this should certainly help. Anyway, a couple of starter questions here. Have a look at those. If you know what you're doing, bash on, pause it, and then go on to where the answers are. Okay, otherwise stick around. So the first one, we're substituting here. So when t is -3, we're finding the value of this expression. Okay, so we're going to substitute like we're asked to. So we're going to have 3 lots of -3 squared times -3 take away 4. Okay, so that's just substituting t equals -3. We're just swapping each time we see a t, we're swapping it for a -3. Okay, so what we've got there is 3 times -3 squared is -3 times -3. So negative times a negative, that'll give us a positive, and 3 3s are 9. And then the value of the bracket, let's just work that out just now. -3 take away 4 is -7. I'm going to leave that in a bracket just now to highlight the negative there. So we need to do 3 times 9 is 27 times -7. So we know our answer is going to be negative, and if we just quickly do 27 times 7, 7 7s are 49, 2 7s are 14, add the 4 makes 18, so the answer is -189. Okay, and on to our second question here. Find 23% of £54. So we're going to do that by finding 10% first of all. Then we're going to find 20% by doubling the 10%. We're going to write down what 1% is. Then we're going to times it by 3 to get 3%. And then we're going to add together the 20% and the 3%. Okay, so that's the plan. So 10%, remember we're dividing by 10, so that'll give us £5.40. Then we need to multiply that by 2, or double that anyway, to get 20%, so that gives us £10.80. 1%, we need to divide our original amount by 100, or we divide our 10% by 10. Okay, so we're either doing that divided by 100 or that divided by 10. It's the same thing, of course. So we get 54p for that. And when we multiply that by 3, we're going to get 3%. So 54 times 3 is 1.62 we'll get there. So I did 50p times 3 is £1.50. 4 3s are 12, so £1.62 altogether. So the £10.80 and the £1.62 are what we need to add together. So we get £12.42. Okay, right, so that's our starters for today. Next, let's move on. So I wanted to recap what we've been doing this week. So we're going to look at each of these things in turn. So on Monday, we did these 2 things. That was Tuesday, that was Wednesday, that was yesterday. And we're just going to, like say, do a bit of each just now. Okay, so first of all, I've just separated out everything that we just looked at there, and we'll do examples of each. Okay, so first we'll multiply a bracket by a single term. So remember, the 4u has to multiply the 3u, and it has to multiply the -5. So we get 12u squared minus 20u. So just don't forget that the u times the u is u squared. Okay, that won't simplify, we'll leave it as it is. This one, we've got -3 times 4 is -12. And then -3 times -2x, so multiplying a negative by a negative, so the signs match, so it's positive 6x. Okay, and don't forget that if you saw that in an expression, negative 12 plus 6x is exactly the same as 6x minus 12. Sometimes we need to be able to write it the other way around. Okay, next bit now. Simplify expressions involving multiplying brackets by a single term. So this was what we went on to after we'd learnt how to do this. So we're just basically multiplying out, and then we've got other bits and pieces to simplify. So we've got 4 times 3x is 12x. 4 times negative 5 is negative 20. And then we've got a plus 2x on the end. So remember, this plus 2x is separate from this bracket. Okay, you work out the bracket and then you add the 2x afterwards. So when we're collecting like terms, we've got 12x plus 2x, that makes 14x, and we've got a minus 20 as well. So be really careful about the signs. Okay, the next one. This is what we need to multiply out. Okay, so the 10 stays at the beginning, and the minus 4x is going to stay at the end. Okay, so now we're going to multiply out this bracket. So negative 3 times 2x, that's going to give us negative 6x. And then the negative 3 times the positive 1 gives us minus 3. And then don't forget, we've got that minus 4x on the end. Okay, so collecting like terms, in x's, we've got a negative 6x there and a negative 4x there, so we've got negative 10x altogether. And then in numbers, we've got 10, that's positive, and then a minus 3, so we've got plus 7. Okay, so remember that when you've got a bracket in amongst amongst terms that are adding and subtracting, then you multiply out the bracket and then you do your collecting like terms. Okay, so now multiplying two brackets together. So there were several different methods that I showed you for this, remember? And you should pick the one that works best for you. So I'll show you 2 of the methods with the first question and 2 of the methods with the second. So for the first question, I'm going to use, I'm going to break the first bracket first of all, and then I'll use FOIL. For the second lot, I'll do the other 2 terms. Right, so I'm going to break the first bracket. So we write the 2d and then the second bracket, and then the minus 4 and the second bracket. So we multiply these brackets out now. So we get 2d times 3d is 6d squared. And then we've got plus 4d from the 2d times 2. Then we've got negative 4 times 3d, so that'll give us a minus 12d. And then we've got a negative 4 times a positive 2, so that'll give us a negative 8. So altogether there, we've got 6d squared, and then we've got plus 4d, take away 12d, so that gives us minus 8d, and then we've got our minus 8 on the end. Okay, so that was breaking the first bracket. I'm going to go up here just now, because I've run out of space down there, for showing you the same question, but with a different method. So I'll do it in red so it's a bit easier to find. So then we're going to do it using, what did I say? Did I say FOIL? That's what we're doing anyway. So 2d minus 4 times 3d plus 2. If we're going to use FOIL, remember it's firsts, outsides, insides, lasts. So the first things, that's the first thing in each bracket. So that gives us 6d squared. Then the outsides are the things that are furthest away. So that's the 2d and the 2. So 2d times 2 is 4d. Then we've got the insides. So they're the things that are closest together. That's these 2. So that's negative 4 times positive 3d. So that's negative 12d. And then we've got the lasts. So that's the negative 4 times the positive 2. So that'll give us negative 8. So we've got 6d squared minus 8d when we combine these 2, and minus 8. Okay, which is obviously what we got when we did it by breaking the first bracket. Okay, so now we're going to move on to this question. So I'm going to show you using a table and by drawing lines. Okay, so I'm going to draw the lines first, I think. So tell you what, actually I'll set up the table first and then I'll draw the lines so things don't look confusing. So we've got 4 minus 3i and then 2i minus 1. Right, I'm going to leave that there and now we're going to draw the lines. So those two lines to start with. So 4 times 2i is 8i, and then 4 times negative 1 is minus 4. Okay, then we'll draw the other lines. So it's negative 3i times positive 2i, so that's minus 6i squared. Don't forget the squared there because you've got I times I. And then you've got negative 3i times negative 1, so that's plus 3i. So all together there, if we put our squared term first, we've got negative 6i squared. Then in i's, we've got a positive 8i there and a positive 3i there. So that gives us plus 11i. And then we've got a minus 4 as well. Okay, let's do that with the table and check that we get the same. So this space is 4 times 2i, 8i. This space is negative 3i times 2i. So that's negative 6i, isn't it? Squared. Okay, so don't forget, whenever you've got the letters multiplying together, you need the squared there. I often forget to say the squared, as you've probably noticed, and then I write it anyway. Alright, so then in this space here, we've got 4 times negative 1. So we've got minus 4, and then in our last space here, we've got negative 3i times negative 1, so that's plus 3i or positive 3i. Okay, and then if we look to see which of our terms can go together to simplify, it's these two. So we've got negative 6i squared plus 11i minus 4, which is, of course, what we got over here as well. Okay, so that's multiplying two brackets together, and that's 4 different methods. Remember, you only need to be able to do one of the methods, so you just pick which one works best for the way your brain works and the one that you can remember most easily and the one that's going to lead to you not making mistakes. Okay, so next thing we're doing is multiplying two brackets together with up to 3 terms per bracket. So when we're doing this, we can't use FOIL, remember, but we can use any of the other methods. So for the first one, I'll show you it where we're going to break the first bracket, and the second one, I'm going to do it where we do a table, I think. So I'll just put that to the side there to remind me that that's what I said. Okay, so we're going to break this first bracket then. So we've got 5m times the second bracket, and then we've got minus 1 times the second bracket. So we'll multiply these out now. So we're going to end up with 6 things. So 5m times m squared is 5m cubed. 5m times 2m is plus 10m squared. We've got 5m times negative 1, so that's minus 5m. And then the second one, we've got negative 1 times m squared. So we've got negative 1m squared. Remember, we don't need the 1. Then we've got negative 1 times 2m. That's minus 2m. And then we've got negative 1 times negative 1. So that gives us plus 1. So if we tidy that up, put the cubed term first. So we've got 5m cubed. Then in m squareds, we've got... just a minute. There we go. Sorry, looking for highlighter. In m squareds, we've got, let's try doing that in the right place, shall we? We've got there 10m squared, and we've got minus 1m squared there. So remember that m squared is positive, so we've got plus 9m squared there. And then if we look at if we look at the m's, we've got minus 5m there and minus 2m there, so that gives us minus 7m altogether. And we've still got a plus 1. Okay, so that's the first one, and you're going to end up with 6 terms because you're doing 2 terms times 3 terms, and you just need to remember and simplify carefully afterwards. Okay, so we're going to do this second question using a table. So we're going to have 2x squared minus 3x plus 5. Actually, we don't need that plus there. I'll just take that out. Don't want it confusing anybody. It just means it's positive 5. And then the second bracket, we've got 3x and minus 1. So let's fill in these one at a time. We're going to have 6 spaces. So that one, you've got 2 times 3 is 6. X squared times x is x cubed. The next space along, we've got 3x times negative 3x. That's going to be negative. 3 times 3 is 9. X times x is x squared. This space, we've got 3x times 5. That gives us 15x. This space down here, we've got 2x squared times negative 1. So that'll give us just negative 2x squared. Then we've got negative 3x times negative 1, so the signs match those terms positive, so it's 3x. And the last one there, we've got 5 times negative 1, so that gives us negative 5. Okay, I'll do that little dot there, whoops, easy. Okay, so looking to see what will go together, what will we can collect together, simplify, so collecting like terms, that's what I was trying to say. So we've got our x squared there, and there, and we've got our x's there and there, so that's what we're going to be simplifying. So we've got 6x cubed, and then in x squared, we've got minus 2x squared there, and minus 9x squared there, so we've got minus 11x squared altogether. And then in x's, we've got a positive 3x and a positive 15x. So we've got plus 18x. And we've got a minus 5 on the end. Okay, so that's all we need to do for multiplying 2 brackets together that have got up to 3 terms per bracket. And then the last one that we're going to do today, multiplying 3 brackets together. Remember what we do for this is we multiply first 2 brackets together, and then the answer, we multiply it by the third one. Okay, so we're going to first of all work out x minus 1 times x minus 2. So I'm going to use lines for this. So the first 2 terms are going to be x squared, and then we've got x times negative 2, that's minus 2x. Then we're going to do these 2. So we've got negative 1 times x is negative x, and negative 1 times negative 2 is plus 2. And we're going to be multiplying that by x minus 3. So let's just tidy this first bracket up a little bit first. We've got x squared, and then we've got minus 2x and minus x, so we've got minus 3x altogether, plus 2 times x minus 3. And then when we multiply this out, we're going to do this, let's do this with lines again, and so that we can do that, I'm just going to lose the line above. Oh dear. Hang on a minute. Let's not be quite so keen with the rubber. There we go. That's better. Right, so it's just a bit easier for drawing the lines on now. I've got a bit more space. Okay, so remember when you've got a bracket with 3 and a bracket with 2, then use the bracket with 2 to draw the lines from. So we'll draw into here, to here, and to here. And then the negative 3, needs to multiply everything as well. So that'll go there, there, and there. Okay, so we've got 6 terms we're going to get. So first line we drew was this one. So x times x squared is x cubed. Second one was that one. X times negative 3x gives us minus 3x squared. Then x times 2 is 2x. So we're on to the bottom lines now. So the first one, negative 3 times x squared is negative 3x squared. Then we've got negative 3 times negative 3x, so that's going to give us plus 9x. And then we've got negative 3 times positive 2 is minus 6. So altogether we've got x cubed, and then we've got minus 3x squared and another minus 3x squared, so that's minus 6x squared. We've got plus 2x plus 9x, so that's plus 11x, and then minus 6. Okay, so that's basically everything that we've learned this week. All right, so you've got an assignment to do on Teams if you haven't done that already. There are a few people who I've looked at your work and you've maybe only answered one question, and so I think that's probably a mistake. There are a couple of people who are really not managing it, and I've asked you to look back again at the videos, and otherwise I'll be getting that marked in the next few days as you all hand them in. Okay, so just to let you know then, oh, we've got another couple of examples here. I'm not going to do these. I wanted to just tell you about these. Sorry, I'd forgot about that. So when we've got a question like this, remember that this squared here means that this bracket has to be multiplied by itself. So it gives us 2x minus 3 times 2x minus 3. And then you've got still to multiply by x plus 2. So it's multiplying 3 brackets together, which we've just gone over, but you need to write out the first 2 brackets first. Okay, and then this one, remember cubed means it's multiplying by itself 3 times. So you get 2 minus x times 2 minus x, I've done that again. 2 minus x times 2 minus x. And again, it's just multiplying 3 brackets together, and you know how to do that. Okay, I've put those on the end there as a little reminder just to show me. Okay, so then just want to look at what we're going on to next. So next week, I'll make the starters multiplying out brackets. So we're going to practice those every day. And then for factorising, we're going to start by using common factors, which is something you'll all have seen before, whether you've come from National 4 or National 5. And then we're going to get on to the National 5 stuff here. Okay. Factorising stretches your brain a little bit more than multiplying out does, but it's basically the inverse. It's doing the opposite, putting the brackets back in. Okay, so have a good weekend. Try the practice questions. Make sure you've done your assignment, and I will see you again on Monday. See ya.